What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something a little different from the usual pistol optics or red dots we cover. This time it's the Infitac FMP13 thermal pistol sight. Infitac was kind enough to send this sight over for review, and as always I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on it. No sugarcoating. We'll be covering everything from its design and performance to where I think it really shines and some areas where I think it could use some improvements. So buckle in, we've got a lot to cover today. Let's get to it. All right, let's start with the basics. The Infitac MP13 is marketed as a compact thermal sight, but don't let the word compact fool you. It packs some serious capability under the hood. We're looking at a thermal sensor with 256 by 192 resolution, paired with a 60 Hz refresh rate. For those of you not too familiar with thermal imaging, that kind of resolution and refresh rate means you're getting smooth, fluid imagery of heat signatures, and it's not going to stutter when you're tracking moving objects. The 13mm f1 lens gives you a solid field of view, and the 1.4-inch display with its 360 by 300 resolution provides crisp visuals of whatever you're aiming at. Out of the box, first impression was that this is a very purpose-driven optic. This isn't your casual red dot. It's for people who need thermal capabilities, whether that's for tactical, hunting, or special considerations. Now, let's talk about the customization options. The FMP13 offers 3 reticle patterns: a simple dot, a simple circle with a dot, and a large circle with a dot. I'll talk more about the MOAs here in a second. You can also select between 4 reticle colors: green, red, black, or white, so you can tailor the reticle to your preferences or the environmental conditions. On top of that, the FMP13 provides 4 thermal imaging color combinations. You've got white hot, black cold, black hot, white cold, orange hot, white cold, and a unique orange hot with blue cold mode. Each of these modes can be useful in different environments, and I found the orange hot modes particularly helpful in highlighting targets against varied backgrounds. Now, one of the things that really impressed me about this sight is how versatile it is in terms of mounting options. Infitac didn't restrict this to 1 or 2 platforms. You've got multiple footprint options like RMR, RMSE, Delta Point Pro, and MOS. So whether you're running this on a pistol, like I did, well, kind of a pistol, the SIG P320 Legion Flux, or mounting on a rifle or subgun, you've got some flexibility. And they didn't stop there. If you want to mount it directly to a rifle, it's got Picatinny rails that you can install it with on 30mm rings, or even an aimpoint acro mount, which is great for offset mounting. In fact, I think this platform works really well. But in my opinion, where it would add the most value is as an offset optic on a rifle, more specifically a subgun like a B&T TP9. Any platform that can support an offset optic, basically what it boils down to. And I know a lot of you out there are running subguns or short barrel rifles are always looking for optics that don't add much weight but provide a significant edge in performance. Speaking of weight, let's talk about the design and build quality. The FMP13 weighs in at just 4 ounces, so it's not going to bog down your firearm or mess with its balance. The material here is the 7075 T6, which is high strength aluminum, exactly what you want for something that needs to hold up under rough conditions. It's waterproof and dustproof. It's also shockproof, handling up to 1200 Gs of recoil. So whether you're putting this in heavy recoil on a heavy recoil handgun or a rifle, it's going to stay zeroed in and functional. I tested it through a few hundred rounds on the SIG P320. Mind you, it's not reciprocating for it, but it held up no issues to the recoil. I haven't yet tested the FMP13 functions on a slide that recoils, so that's something I'm going to do on a future video. I'll probably put it on a pistol and maybe even a rifle to test that reciprocating function. We'll see how that goes. Let's move on to battery life, which is always an important consideration with optics, especially those using advanced tech like thermal imaging. The FMP13 runs on a CR2 battery, giving you around 5 hours of operation on single charge, depending on usage. There's also a USB Type-C port for an external power supply, which is useful if you're running it for extended periods. Now, this is where I found one of the areas for improvement. While it's great that the sight is lightweight and compact, the battery life is a bit suspect. I got closer to about 3.5 to 4 hours of consistent use, especially when using the thermal functionality heavily. So if you're going out on long missions, hunts, or field work, you're going to want to bring spare batteries or rely on that USB port to keep it powered. But it'll do in a pinch, and it'll do the job well. Now, let's get into the reticle options. As I mentioned earlier, the FMP13 offers 3 reticle choices: a simple 6 MOA dot, a 6 MOA dot with a 65 MOA circle, or a 6 MOA dot with a massive 130 MOA circle. These options make the sight very versatile depending on what you're doing. For precision shooting, I found the 6 MOA dot to be more than adequate, but the 65 MOA dot circle was helpful for quicker target acquisition, of course, especially in tactical scenarios where you're moving fast and need to pick up a target immediately. The 130 MOA circle is a bit more niche, and while I didn't find myself using it as much, I can see it being useful in certain applications where having a larger reference point would be beneficial. The FMP13 also comes equipped with a number of settings you can scroll through to really fine-tune your experience. You got 6 primary settings. The first one is a contrast setting that has 5 levels. The next is a brightness setting with 5 levels as well. Zeroing is a dot left, north, south, east, west kind of sort of scenario where you can dial it in to your target. You have an info setting that just gives you the specifics of the actual device itself, a factory reset option to start over from scratch, and a power off conservation timer where it can turn off after a certain period of time. And of course, either automatic or manual calibration to keep the sight functioning optimally. This level of customization makes the sight flexible across the different lighting conditions and environments, allowing you to tailor it exactly to your needs. Now, I didn't mention the fact that it is touchscreen, or you can use the tactile buttons on the side. Either one works fine. When you pick up the FMP13, here's what you're getting in the box. 2 batteries, an installation tool, of course, the FMP13 thermal sight itself, a mounting plate. This one came with the RMR, and 2 thermal zero targets, which are round hand warmers with a sticky backing that makes zeroing a breeze. It's always nice to see companies throw in thoughtful extras, and those thermal zero targets are a smart inclusion for those who want a quick and easy setup of this sight. Now, let me share a little bit of personal challenge I had while using this setup. Since my prescription glasses are tuned to view a computer screen at about 3 feet, I had a devil of a time trying to see the reticle clearly when I was looking through the sight at the end of the Fluxus telescoping stock. This is more of a me problem than anything else, but it's worth mentioning because it did affect my experience with the optic. I think I can fix this with some contact lenses, so I plan to do a follow-up video to let you know how that plays out. If you're someone who wears prescription glasses and uses a telescoping stock or maybe something that's shorter barrel, this is just something to keep in mind. Of course, there are a few drawbacks to mention. First, even though it's marketed as compact, I did find it a bit bulky when mounted on a pistol, especially for something like concealed carry, or if you have a minimalist setup. It's not overly heavy, but it does stick out a bit, which could be an issue for some users. Then there's the battery life, which, as I mentioned earlier, is decent, but could be better for thermal optics in this class. Lastly, and this is a big one for me, the lack of being able to co-witness. Now, like I said, I put it on this SIG Flux so I could co-witness. I could see the actual sights underneath it. But if you had this running on a pistol by itself, there is a channel here at the very top where you can approximately gauge where your target is, and then you have to find it within the viewfinder itself. But I think in a stressful scenario where you're trying to shoot quickly, that would not be very helpful. All in all, I think the Infitac FMP13 is a strong contender in the thermal optic market, especially if you're looking for something that's versatile and lightweight. While it may not be the ideal optic for every situation, it definitely has its place in certain setups, particularly on rifles, I think, and subguns, as an offset optic. Its robust construction, multiple reticle options, thermal imaging color modes, and customization settings make it a powerful tool for those who need thermal capability without adding excess bulk. There are some drawbacks, like I mentioned, like the lack of co-witnessing and the somewhat limited battery life. But if you're in the market for a compact thermal sight that performs well across a variety of conditions, this could be a great addition to your setup. Now, if you're interested, I'll drop a link below for more details about the FMP13. Don't forget to head over to my website at www.razormp.com for a full list of my recommended gear. And as always, a huge thank you to my subscribers and membership supporters. You're the reason I can keep doing content like this. If this review helped you out, if you liked it, maybe you want to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more reviews like this. As always, I'll see you on the high ground or the next video. Razor MP out.